mentioned at Steadfast Bible Conference last week and then last Lord's Day morning. And this is a little bit impromptu. It's very unusual for us, but it's not the first time we've done this on a given topic. But on October 28th, we're going to do another conference. And we're doing it right here in conjunction with several other churches. And we've been a little more precise now with what precisely we're going to do. And so we're calling this conference The Influencers, a Biblical and Historical Critique. And I've talked a couple of times about the influencers already, and the announcement I made last week, I don't know how this works, but somebody grabbed it offline and they sent it out to all the influencers, which was fine, and I'm happy for that. So I'm going to speak to you as if they're listening also, so we're glad you're listening and let you know what's happening. So far, the speakers we have, I'll be speaking, Pastor Chad Vegas from Sovereign Grace, Dr. Mark Brock from Crossway Baptist. There will be at least the three of us. We're working on a potential fourth. But the purpose of this conference is to provide a critique of the written materials upon which this massive worldwide organization, Influencers Global Ministries, is based. And the reason for this is not just, we didn't just pick a book off Amazon and, hey, let's have a conference about it. The reason is that this is, no pun intended, an incredibly influential ministry, and they're in tons of churches, and even in our town, they're in churches, some of which literally have them do their entire men's ministry. We also mentioned last time that there's a significant connection with the one Protestant Christian school we have in town, and we've expressed concern with that. And in fact, we've been in communication with the leadership of Bakersfield Christian High School. But the main reason we are critiquing this material is because the author of the material and the founder of the organization, Rocky Fleming, claims in more than one place divine inspiration and revelation in these writings. And that if you're following him, you're following God. The problem is that his materials are riddled with errors and riddled with deception and bad doctrine. And so that puts you in a kind of a hard spot. I'm receiving from God bad doctrine. That doesn't make any sense. Actually, this week, Chad Vegas and myself had the privilege of meeting with several leaders of the influencers for the Bakersfield chapter, and it was at their request, and it's our hope that they will attend. It's our hope that anyone involved with the influencers will attend, because we're not here to slam any human beings. We're here to defend the truth. We're here to defend the gospel, and we had a long talk with them. It was a total of about 3.5 hours that we met with them, and we pointed out multiple errors. And here's the interesting thing, which I really appreciated. They actually agreed with us on many of the errors. And so our call to them is to abandon Rocky Fleming's material altogether, because the very definition of a false teacher is knowing something is not true and teaching it anyway. That's what a false teacher does. We're all open to correction, and if we're corrected, then you stop teaching that thing. That as you learn, you grow through that. False teachers are to be rejected wholesale by the church. 2 John 10 is very clear about this. We're all for men gathering together. We're all for glorious things happening, but the influencers put themselves out as alongside and equal to the church. And while they will deny that verbally, their materials say otherwise. In fact, their materials say that you, as a growing man of God, ought to outgrow your pastors and outgrow the church. And we have a huge problem with that. That is not scriptural whatsoever. So all we're going to do is provide a critique. And it's going to be heavy on content and low on frills at this conference. Lord willing, later this week, we'll have a doctrinal statement that we're going to release online that anyone can sign, affirming a position that says that the influencers are out of line in certain areas. We're working on that right now. We have multiple people looking at it. We want to be very precise, very, very accurate. And then, Lord willing, also later this week, we'll release conference details and a sign-up. At this point, I think we're probably just going to do this for free. Donations accepted. It will have some cost to it. So anyone who wants to write a check to the Influencers Conference, we would be happy to receive that. But the main reason I say all of this, first of all, is to invite anyone who wants to come and to respectfully listen, because we're going to make this case airtight and extremely biblical. It's all going to be from Scripture, and we're also going to reference some history of the church, because we believe that the influencers is completely disconnected from church history. That they're a unique group that has no DNA prior to 2001 in the church. And so the only DNA they share, and we did point this out, are with groups that have been previously condemned by the church. So we simply want to present the truth. We can't make anybody decide one way or another, but I believe with all of my heart that the most loving thing you can do with someone who is following after deception is to show them that error and get them out of it, and at least give them the opportunity to hear something different. So we want to provide a critique that can be used and utilized for years in the future is our hope. Our hope is to see the influencers, Bakersfield, decrease their imprint on the Church of Jesus Christ, and that influencers around the world will begin to watch this conference and have their eyes opened as well. But the main reason is for you to pray and for you to ask the Lord to defend his gospel and defend the truth of Scripture. This is not something that any of us involved with this are eager to do, not something that we're excited about. It's something that we are compelled to do and that we must do, because the truth has to be stood for, and that is the job of the shepherds of the church. So just letting you know, October 28th, and I know we have an event on the 7th for the men and on the 14th for the ladies, but this was a date we had to choose, and so this is important. We'll look forward to your support and being here as well. We'll release details online where you can sign up, hopefully later this week.